off, set it off. Go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs win, whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all. Loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold in the fall. That's when the season start. Bucs come in 40 hard. Win after win, ripping the division apart. Panthers, they pussycats. Falcons got bird flu. Take the Ravens and Dolphins and open up a zoo. Cause one thing's for sure, better than the Bucs, they show lane. And every day in Tampa Bay, we say fuck the Saints. We in Tampa Bay, baby. 813 going crazy. Tampa, boy. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons blasting on them haters. And we in Tampa Bay, baby. Tell them where you from. 813 going crazy. Yeah. This Bucs podcast be the greatest.
What is up, Bucs Nation? It is Tuesday, April 15th, 2025, and you're watching the Loose Cannons Podcast. I am your boy, the one and only host of this show, the Samurai Ali, hanging out with my intern and glorified assistant, Stank Bastard, as well as the lovely Loose Cannons Vixen behind the closed door tonight, and we are joined by a special guest, the one, the only, Scott Reynolds of Pewter Report, pewterreport.com, Pewter Report TV on YouTube, and of course, Pewter Report on Twitter. Welcome back to the show, Scott.
How are we doing?
Long overdue, sir.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so you are the final guest GM in the Loose Cannons front office for this mock draft series that we've been doing this offseason, okay? But before we dive into all of that, you've got the amazing list of the visiting players and players that the Bucs have met with so far this offseason leading up to this draft. It's in 9 days now. And so we were going to kind of pick your brain as to maybe the top 5 guys that you feel that they've met with, that they've spoken to, that you really think they actually like. Because a lot of those guys are kind of guys you just have to do your homework on just in case. Yeah. And some of them are also just smoke and mirrors and just nonsense to kind of throw the scent off for teams that are maybe in the division or teams that are maybe under or ahead of us. So just curious who you think the top 5 actual guys of interest are that have visited with the Bucs, sat with them, both at the combine and at the team facility.
Well, I mean, there's only been a couple guys that we've identified that have done both, that have been formal interviews at the combine as well as top 30 visits. Now, a couple of those guys we really like. Boston College, edge rusher Donovan Ezaraku got a formal visit. We don't know if he's visited with the team yet in terms of the top 30 or official 30 visit. Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas, has gotten both. Savon Revel Jr., the East Carolina Pirate cornerback, has gotten both. Michael Williams, the edge rusher out of Georgia, has that official 30 visit, but doesn't have the combine interview, at least to our knowledge. So there's a couple of guys that have one or the other, but only a couple of players have both Matthew Golden and Savon Revel Jr. And I think those guys are kind of dark horse picks for the Bucs at number 19. I don't think they're necessarily going to go that way. We've been able to cobble together a list of 17 out of the 30. So I think we're missing 13 players. And one of those guys that we're missing could end up being drafted by the Bucs in the first round. But so we have a pretty good idea based upon Jason Light's history. He likes to feed the trenches more so than any other position, right? You look at Vita Vea in 2018. You look at Tristan Wirfs in 2020. You look at Joe Tryon-Shoyinka in 2021. Logan Hall was the top pick, wasn't a first-round pick, but the first pick in the second round, the Buccaneers' top pick, defensive tackle in 2022. Defensive tackle again in 2023, Kalijah Cansey. Graham Barton, the center in the first round last year. So, I mean, he loves feeding the trenches. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. That's where the Buccaneers have been built. And it wouldn't surprise me again if they go edge rusher in the first round. Now, whether that's Donovan Ezaraku, whether that's Mike Green, whether that's Michael Williams, we'll see. But if I had to bet money, I'm going to say probably an edge rusher in the first round.
Stank loves his fat guys. So I know he wants to
I
ask
do.
this question about, because you mentioned the trenches. So
Yeah.
Stank,
Yep. You know, Scott, you know Buccaneers fans' pain, right? I keep on seeing safeties and off the ball
Yeah.
linebackers being mocked to us, and
Yeah.
we know where that goes. We get Mark
Right.
Barron, we get Devin White. So I'm fearful of us, diverting from the fat, chunky, big, beefy dude
Yeah.
route. Although Logan Hall, JTS,
There've been some misses there, right? Yeah,
There've
it's
been
not
some
every
misses.
not every hit has been a Vita Vea, or I should say every pick has been a Vita Vea or a Graham Barton or Tristan Wirfs. There have been some misses with that approach too. Jason Lyon's not perfect, but I trust him in the trenches because you look at Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea, two of the best defensive tackles in the league. You look at Tristan Wirfs, Graham Barton. The guy knows offensive line, right? Even in the second round, Cody Mauch, Luke Gedeke. But you could make a case for Malachi Starks, the safety out of Georgia. He wouldn't be my top pick, but if their edge rushers are gone, he's not a bad player because if you look truly, where is the opening on the roster? Where is that starter going to go? And you want your first round pick to either be a starter or get a lot of playing time to justify the pick, right? So if Tyke Smith is going to go from nickel back to strong safety to replace Jordan Whitehead, then you've got an opening at nickel, right? So that's a place where Malachi Starks could play. Or you keep Tyke Smith there and you put Malachi Starks in there. So if you're looking for that bona fide starter, it's either at nickel or strong safety, depending on where the team feels Tyke Smith is best served. He can do both. Malachi Starks can do both. They both play together at Georgia. They've got on-field chemistry already. Shouldn't be a problem. So I can justify in my mind them taking a player like Starks. I just feel like hearing Todd Bowles and Jason Light to a degree, but mostly Todd Bowles, it's his defense. He wants to rush 4. He wants to get home with 4. You'd like to think Hassan Reddick will revert back to form, right? Well, he's 30. He'll be 31 this year. He had 10 games on the field last year after missing OTAs, training camp, preseason with the holdout, the first 7 games of the season with the holdout. I get it. Last year was bizarre, as he said. There wasn't a lot of chemistry on that Jets team for a lot of reasons. They fired their head coach. By the time he took the field, they were on to their second coach, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of dysfunction with the Jets. At the same time, Hassan Reddick had 10 games. He got 1 sack. So you have to be a little fearful at some point in time. And we've seen it all. We've seen JPP. We've seen Shaq Barrett. We've seen Simeon Rice, if you go back in the day. The wheels fall off the wagon at some point for edge rushers. It's typically in their 30s. Is it 30 or 31? Or is it 32, 33? Or is it 34? We don't know. But I'll say this. You'd like to also think Chris Braswell develops in his second season as a second-round pick. And I love Larry Foote. I think that was one of Todd Bowles' best moves at the offseason, getting him back coaching the outside linebacker room. I think that is a huge home run. It's going to level up the entire room, Yaya Diaby included. But what if Braswell doesn't develop? What if he is a 4-sack guy? What if he's like a different version of JTS? What if Hassan Reddick, just for whatever reason, doesn't become that double-digit sacker, right, that he was? Getting another edge rusher provides that safety blanket, that safety net, that insurance policy, whatever you want to call it. Now you've got 4 guys that you feel really good about, right? You've got Hassan Reddick and Yaya Diaby starting. Let's say Donovan Ezeraku. You have Donovan Ezeraku, and if Chris Braswell is outside linebacker 4 with Nelly outside linebacker 5, I love that room. That's great. That's a much better hockey line shift than last year when Yaya was off the field, and you've got Braswell and JTS on the field. Like, I didn't feel good that the quarterback was going to get any heat or any pressure at all.
They were playing great games too.
You brought it up. Yeah, that second hockey line was a liability the entire year.
It was. There's no doubt.
And the way
it hurt my feelings every week. It hurt my feelings.
Todd Bowles, if he continues to do those shifts like he's been doing, we need 8 guys, right? We need a full change to be able to not have such significant drop off as soon as Vita and Kancey are out, and they're just they can do whatever they want against us. So
I mean, at that point you need like McDonough and Geeky, and Sorelli, you need everybody like in those hockey shifts, the third and the fourth line, essentially.
I mean, to that same point, Scott, let's say all of those guys do work out. Now you've got the ability to bring in Ezeraku almost in a situational, scenario. You can be more exotic with some of those guys. You can take Hall off. You can maybe take off Vita and have a ridiculous NASCAR package up front. And then also now you're not leaning as much or as heavily on the 31-year-old Hassan Reddick. So now he can take some time off. And now you can kind of extend that a little bit, kind of with what the Chargers have done a little bit with Khalil Mack, getting other guys involved, but he's somehow end up being the better of the guys. But a similar fashion like that to where now you're not depending and leaning so much on him. And again, Chris Braswell, like he's a very big question mark. Like right now, I feel better by Anthony Nelson because at least I've seen him make a play.
That's true.
And that's not at fault. That's not Chris's fault. It's just his opportunities have come up. He hasn't done it, but hopefully he makes that jump. Now you've got a ridiculous room, and we saw the Giants do it. We've seen the Ravens do it. The Steelers. So many teams have just stacked that part of their defense, and everything just kind of falls into place where, you know what? The defense in the back end doesn't have to be special at that point. Donnie Abraham comes on the show and says it all the time to us. We were able to do what we were able to do back there because we knew Simeon and Culpepper and Reagan Upshaw and Steve White and, of course, Warren Sapp could do everything. They made it to where we could jump because we knew the ball had to either come out or it was a sack. So we had the advantage to us. So I think it'd be nice to see that. And maybe those hockey shift lines kind of change because now Todd's not thinking I'm going to have to play these guys 60, 70 snaps. I've got to continue to keep them fresh to where his hand is almost full.
Imagine getting off the field on third down. Imagine
third down. Imagine a 3 and out.
Imagine that.
Imagine a 3 and out more than once a game.
I'm getting a little excited over here. I'm just saying.
Hey, this is the podcast to get excited on, okay? But I didn't mention it at the top of the top of the show. Make sure you guys hit that like button for Scott. And of course, hit the subscribe button on your way out if you're new and somehow haven't subscribed to this amazing podcast and entertaining show that is unmatched, by the way. No offense to you, Scott. You guys are informative. We are entertaining.
We do different things. Yeah, no worries.
Different things. Absolutely. And
you should also go over and like and subscribe.
I was getting there.
Pewter Report TV. Pewter YouTube channel. Yeah.
And those of you who are not watching this live, you'll be able to click directly on Scott's face on our loosecannonslive.com website, and you'll be able to go to all his amazing links and his bio and all that good stuff. So, all right, boys, I think it's time to dive into this mock draft. All right, Scott, you are the general manager tonight. I am I'm your John Spytek, okay?
Okay.
And Stank is the guy running coffee for us back and forth in the room. Dude. If you need gum, if you need candy, whatever, we'll send him to the corner store. That's what he's for.
I might need a refill on my old fashioned here.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh. He wears a nice skirt. He pulls it off well.
Okay. It's a kill. It's a kill.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a kill. Yeah, sure.
And a reminder, Loose Cannons Vixen is going to be watching all you people in the chat to kind of make sure we don't miss anything. So, Vixen kind of pop in here and there and take care of all that for us. Now it is time to enter.
I'll go turn my air conditioner off. Give me a second.
I don't hear it, so you're good. All right, cool. All right, Scott, here we are. I assume you are not trading up in any scenario here.
Nope, absolutely not. I like my picks. I want to keep them.
All right. I have it set right now to be a little bit slower than the fast mode just for the first round. So let's go ahead and start this bad boy.
Oh, my fingers are crossed. My boy's on
there. Who is your boy?
Donovan.
Okay, yeah. Good pick. Good player.
He's usually there.
I usually pick him over Starks every time, but I just like Edge for my first pick.
All right, here we are.
Yeah, Donovan Ezeraku, Boston College edge rusher, outside linebacker.
No thought process whatsoever.
Run the card up.
Nope. Run the card up.
Scott, I did hear a knock on Ezeraku.
He's not perfect.
That he's not a power guy at all.
You know what? I tell you what, I saw enough at the Senior Bowl, and I thought that was a really cool thing that he did because I had a chance to talk to him at the Senior Bowl as well as the Combine. But the Senior Bowl was like a lot more intimate and fewer reporters. And he left after the first two practices. Same with Mike Green. They accomplished enough. And what I really wanted to see from Ezeraku, because he's not the biggest guy, but you know what? Neither was Shaq Barrett. And Shaq Barrett was a tough nut for somebody who's 6'1", 250, right? He played the run exceptionally well. And that's exactly what Ezeraku wanted to accomplish at the Senior Bowl. He said, people know I can pass rush, 16 and a half sacks, 30 career sacks. Like, that's not what I wanted to show scouts and GMs and coaches. I wanted to show them I could play the run, set the edge, and do the grimy, dirty work. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, there were a couple plays where, and I've tried to search the internet for them, but all they show is the one-on-one pass rush. But in some of the team drills during practice, there was a play where he literally threw his body like a wrecking ball into the offensive tackle and just smashed the tackle, set the edge, and forced the running back to kick back inside. That's exactly what you want to see. And then, like, literally the next play, threw his body into a tight end, leveled the tight end, and forced the play back inside. And like those two plays, the willingness to do that and the execution, I'm convinced the guy has it all. Is he going to get overwhelmed at times because of his size? No doubt. Shaq did, JPP did, Simeon Rice did. It happens. But you want this guy to get to the quarterback. And if he starts off as a designated pass rusher on third downs, fine by me.
Even better, actually.
You got some other guys on the board right now. Mike Green, obviously, he's been projected anywhere from 5 to outside of the top 20. I know there's the off the field issues with him. I know you're not going to say what you've heard necessarily, but do you think he's a Bucs type guy, or do you think they pass on him if he's?
I think they would pass on him. I don't know that, but if I had to guess, I would say they would pass on him just based upon the allegations. That's something that it's tough, right? Sexual, harassment, abuse, assault, and I'm not saying he's guilty of any of those or whatever. I'm just saying when there's that tinge to it, this team's already gone through with Jameis Winston, okay? And I don't think this team would want to go through that again. It's not like he's the only edge rusher on the board either, fellas, right? I mean, like you can draft Donovan Ezeraku, you can get Walter Nolan, you could go in a different direction in the first round. There's Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA that they've also had a 30 visit on in a formal meeting. He's somebody that I think they would be very interested in day 2 if they go in a different direction in round 1. They can go Matthew Golden. They could, maybe trade down a little bit and try to get Savon Revel Jr. Later in the first round.
You just said a name that I'm late to the Matthew Golden party, but I kind of happened to just go down the rabbit hole with him.
He's good.
Is it too early to start thinking about what's next with a receiving core? I mean, Mike's going to contract.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What was the score of the Monday Night Football game at Kansas City against the Chiefs? Do you remember?
I was at that game, and I was so angry we didn't go for it.
So you should know. What was the score?
I was so angry we didn't go for it. I forgot. I forgot what the score was.
30-24. Who were the starting wide receivers in that game?
Oh yeah, it wasn't Mike. It wasn't Chris. It wasn't. I don't think even.
It wasn't Jalen McMillan.
No,
it wasn't Jalen.
I think it was Sterling Shepard and number
Ryan
18,
Miller,
Raheem
Jarrett,
Raheem Jarrett,
Trey Palmer. Okay, they almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead on Monday night without their top 3 wide receivers. If they would have had one more starting caliber wide receiver, one more guy like, say, a Matthew Golden that can make plays down the field, yards after catch the deep ball, do the end arounds, blazing speed.
Forrest Copeland played in that game, didn't he?
Here's my thing.
It's a different year.
My bad. When Todd made those comments a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's just nonsense," with the offense. I started thinking about like Chris Godwin's not going to just show up week 1 and be Chris Godwin. Like as much as I love him and I think he's a Bucs legend, I'm sorry that's not going to happen. So,
do you remember what happened when he came after? And you're right. I'm making your point for you here, Samara. Remember what happened in 2021, right? Or 2022 when Chris after the ACL, they go to Dallas. Who got the very first catch? Chris Godwin, right? Remember that catch and run? Like, oh, it looks good, right?
Then he walked off the field.
Yes, and he hurt his hamstring, and he was out the next week against the Saints because of the hamstring, right? So you're right. When you don't go through training camp, when you don't have the preseason, you're more susceptible to those hamstring or calf injuries, right? Those soft tissue injuries. So yes, you do need some insurance there, just in case Chris A isn't back yet, or B is back but not fully back, right? Because of what has already happened, and you can't fault Chris for it. He's doing his best he can, but I'm with you, Sam. I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah, I feel like if there's a certain scenario that plays out with how these guys fall on the board, because edge rushers could have a run and guys are going to get reached on.
Yep.
it might be, hey, first round is going to be a wide receiver. Maybe move down a little bit so you get a little bit better value for a guy like Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, who I have watched and said, this guy reminds me so much of Chris Godwin. It's like, yeah, this could be, like, I think that would be a decent pick. It would make sense.
Yeah.
And it is an offensive NFL nowadays. It feels right. And of course, you got that kid out of UCLA that seems to always be there in the second or the third round, to where you're like, you know what? If we have Hassan Reddick and we're hoping for the best, maybe we just need that situational guy to grow for a couple of years, and that's the kid that could do it. And then there's also the kid out of I can't remember. It's an unknown name that always pops up in that second and third round.
David Walker out of Central Arkansas.
Yeah, out of Central Arkansas.
The Bucs like him too.
Yeah. So and I think there's options if their hand is kind of, if their hands are tied. But in this round, we will go Donovan Izaraku, my draft crush, by the way.
Yep.
Scott, what do you think of Sterling Shepard last year?
I was surprised they re-signed him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's Baker.
Yeah, it's Baker. And I mean, when you look at it, we just did our wide receiver preview on PeterReport.com. It's like they've got 3 guys that are going to make the roster that are 1, 2, and 3 in the depth chart, and then a bunch of guys that are completely expendable, right? Sterling Shepard, Dennis Houston, Tanner Canoe, Ryan Miller, Raheem Jarrett, Trey Palmer, Cam Johnson. There's like, I think 1 or 2 other guys, right? But they're completely just interchangeable, like practice squad or active roster, like who knows? And so they really do need to address this, because there is a monumental drop off after Jalen McMillan, who's only a rookie, by the way, right? But there's a big time talent drop off after him. And I know the scheme can get Ryan Miller a couple of big plays and touchdowns, but boy, if you had a better player in there, you could do more than what Ryan Miller did, or more than what Sterling Shepard did. To me, with Sterling Shepard, it's just, he's old. We saw the hamstring pop up a couple times, some concentration drops. He's just not that guy anymore.
Not just that, Scott. He had these uncharacteristic moments that you don't expect from an older veteran wide receiver. Penalties, offsides as a wide receiver is outrageous. Twice, maybe 3 times last season. A couple of after the whistle type things, stuff you don't expect from the Ike Hilliards of the world that you add to your roster. You're like, hey, this guy's got to be dependable. He's not supposed to play, and when he is there, he's supposed to be somewhat of a leader. Dude is showing absolutely the opposite of that. Immature, weird hands, drops that seem to always come up in the first quarter, on the first drive, on a 4th down, that derail the entire game. That Dallas game, I blame him for that Dallas game. But it was so weird. And then seeing him get re-signed, I was like, that's Baker or Jason just making sure that Baker's happy, and if he gets cut, he gets cut kind of thing, right? Let's just take care of him now for now. So with all that being said, and absolutely no segue to the next part of this, I can't do him like Cook. Cook was good. We're in the second round here, okay? Linebacker seems to be the choice that everyone seems to go to in this round, because there's a pretty significant drop-off in terms of the talent and the fits and the guys that you really want to see with the Todd Bowles defense. But Omar Norman Lott is a guy that has visited the Bucs. He fits the trenches scenario narrative we talked about earlier. It's hard not to go to that. It's hard not just run his name up in this round, but you kind of have to. I feel like you have to be somewhat responsible with the linebacker position. So curious what your thought is if this scenario plays out, which has played out for me the last 24 hours on multiple mocks.
Yeah, I mean, I like Omar Norman Lott. He really showed up at the Senior Bowl. His run defense is really lacking. It's almost like he's a situational pass rusher, right? That's really what he is. And he's good at that. He's very active and all that. Can you show me what other defensive tackles are on the board? Let's just look at defensive tackles for a minute since we're here. All right, CJ West. Shamar Turner, that's another player the Buccaneers have brought in. I'm not as high on him as I am on Omar Norman Lott. And, of course, Darius Alexander, who I really like. He's a player that did have a top 30 visit, as well as a formal interview. That might definitely be a player in the second round for Tampa Bay, but that's not the case. Scroll down just a little bit. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got Peace. We got Aeneas Peebles is another interesting. I think Aeneas Peebles is kind of like the Omar Norman Lott light version of that guy. I also like Tonka Hemingway. He's a real sleeper.
Yeah, we
at South Carolina.
We love Tonka.
Yeah. So let's take a look at linebacker real quick. And let's just see. This is the PFF. So I think I've got it pretty much memorized here. But you got Demetrius Knight, Carson Schweschinger.
Take D-lines out of it. There you go.
Yeah, and you got Bassa there. You got Carter.
The hope here is if you don't take linebacker, you got to hope and pray that Chris Paul drops, which sometimes happens, but not.
Yeah,
likely.
here's the thing. Like, to my knowledge, they have not brought Chris Paul in. I love Paul. I loved him at Arkansas. I think the Ole Miss tape is really good as well. I like the way he's a striker. He's got sideline to sideline speed. I think he's pretty good in coverage. And the Buccaneers did not interview him formally or informally at the combine. So maybe there's something there they don't like from their background research, or maybe they're just bluffing, or maybe, we just don't know what we don't know, which is maybe he's been in for a 30 visit. I don't know. But I like him. I wish the team did. Let's take a peek at cornerback real quick, because that's really a position of need here. Let's see who we got.
Scott, how often have you seen in the past? And it seems every year you project several guys, that the Bucs end up taking. How often have you seen where they haven't formally interviewed a guy? They've been under the radar. Like, does Jason do that a lot? Where
Kalijah Kancey?
I was going to say Kalijah Kancey was not interviewed at all by them.
No.
Yeah.
He didn't have a 30 visit with any other team either. Like, none. Like, no team had a visit with Kalijah Kancey. And the Bucs didn't interview him. So that was the one kind of shot in the dark guy. But you look in the last couple of years, they've really taken guys that they've interviewed at the combine, or they brought in for 30 visits or whatever. And if it's a surprise to us, it's because we didn't interview them at the combine and we didn't know, right? We didn't know that they had a visit or not, or I should say an interview. We didn't know that they had a 30 visit, right? Because like I said, there's 17 guys that we know of right now. Out of the 30, it's 13 we don't. They could draft 5 guys out of 6 that have had 30 visits with the team that aren't on our list that we don't know, right? Yeah. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So
I believe they've met with Dorian Strong and Parrish, and of course Kobe Bryant at the combine, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? Those 3 for sure.
They didn't meet with Parrish at the combine. I'm a K-Stater. I interviewed him personally. He said, no interview. But they did have him in for a 30 visit. Okay. Strong, I think, was an informal. Benjamin Morrison was a formal. Noah Williams, I really like him. So let's go with you know what?
What about receivers? Let's go back to that real quick.
Yeah, let's get receivers. Let's check that out one more time here. You have Jalen Knowles there.
He is there.
Royals
is there. Sorry, I thought you said Royals.
Yeah, Jalen Knowles there from Iowa State.
Yeah.
Let's can we do a trade? Can we trade down? I feel like Jason Light, if he's going to trade
available.
If Jason Light's going to trade, it's going to be in the second round to trade down to get another 3rd or 4th round pick, because that's really where the value is in this draft. So I don't know that there's a team that wants to trade up into the first round at number 19, for example. I think it might be difficult for Jason to find a trading partner to move down in the first round. But I think in the second round, I don't want to go down too far, because there's a couple players I like there.
11 slots.
Yeah, 11 will be fine. What are we going to get from Philly? I always like beating Philly, so
we'd have to give him 53rd. I think we could probably ask for
134.
Get that 134. Yeah. All right, let's get something else. Let's
feel
get
like
greedy.
one of these 3, because they're kind of all, I believe they've all been acquired via trade.
Try 161. Well. Let's try to get the best. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Cool. All right, let's.
I feel like this.
Now that we've tempted fate, let's see what happens.
Right. Darian Porter is gone. Damn it.
It's okay. All right. Whoa, look at that. One more Norman Lott still there.
So is Demetrius Knight.
Yeah. So
and Jalen Royals.
I like all these dudes right here. These top 3 right here.
Yep.
But I also like Makuba. So.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get Demetrius Knight right here. Let's get him.
It feels dirty trading with the Eagles. I'm just going to tell you that, Scott.
I know.
I still like the Eagles.
Well, I do too, but I think we're fleecing them here.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, Stank, we got knocked out by the Lions last year, and then we turn around and make a trade with them a couple months later. So
that's true.
It's true. Yeah, but we took them to the cleaners for a guy that they let go, and he's already on another team.
I think
that's true.
Yeah, well, he did have a couple nice games.
You listened to Scott earlier talking about, are we going to trade for what the fuck is his face from Miami? The Florida State kid.
Yeah, I love him too, but no.
Scott, you dropped a blurb earlier.
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah,
we're talking about how dirty we did the Lions last year by trading them.
Yeah,
Carlton Davis, and then hoping that somebody would offer us something similar.
Yeah,
here this year for Jamel Dean, but that's doubtful.
I like those 134 and 157 picks because of the that's that real nice corner range for this draft. It feels like.
Yep, exactly. All right, so so now we have what pick is this? This is 84?
84.
Okay.
Those some good names on the board. Now we have
like these.
Yeah, we have 84. You know what? I'm going to try to make this as realistic as possible. So I'm thinking we go Jalen Noel here because the Bucs have had him in for a couple of. Yeah, okay. Let's go with him. So now we've got our other starting caliber wide receiver. Yeah, let's do it.
Look at what the
let's take a peek.
Yeah, oof. I like all these dudes right here.
I do too. Yep. So I feel pretty good that one of those guys is going to be there.
Yeah, we picked up the 134, so hopefully one of those guys slide. What's your feeling on Kevin Winston Jr.? He's a guy I've seen mocked to us a lot based on value. He's ranked 29th on here. He seems to be sliding for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, and to be perfectly frank with you, I'd be tempted to take him just because it's a safety, but I want more Tyke Smith than less. So I want Tyke on the field. I think Tyke is I think Antoine Winfield Jr. is here, and I think Tyke Smith is like right here. I think those guys are big time ball hawks, and I want Tyke on the field. Now, Kevin Winston Jr., great value. You plug him in at strong safety, but then you keep Tyke at nickel. And like I said, I'm a big Tyke fan. I want more Tyke than less, so I probably wait until later to get a safety.
All right, so we're going with Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. I like that pick, actually. There we go.
So right now we've got our edge.
121 is that.
We got our off-the-ball linebacker, and now
Noel Williams is at 121 spot. That's where he's usually waiting.
I'm hoping he's there. Hoping he's there. He's going to be the guy.
We've got 2 picks in this round. No?
Yep.
Is he there? Is he there?
I think he's gone.
Yes. No, he's
there.
Oh,
he is there. Okay. Then he's the guy. Noel Williams right there. 7 interceptions last year, pick 6 against Cam Ward. That's the guy.
Just curious before you take the card up. Defensive tackles, interior guys. Anybody slide? You think Jason Light's a Ty Robinson guy? You know, Nebraska connection. We talked.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm a little cold, lukewarm, I guess, on Ty Robinson. I know some people are excited, but I like Tonka. You know, a little bit later. To be honest, I think Tonka is a really good player, and I don't know if he'll ever be like a dominant guy like a Kalijah Cansey, but I mean, coming off the bench, I like him. I also like Zay Frazier too.
Is he an upgrade over Greg Gaines?
Anybody in the
draft? Tonka? I mean, different player because Greg is a backup nose tackle, right? So Tonka is more like a 3-tech. So, but another guy too is Thor Griffin out of Louisville. He is a nose tackle. Played at Harvard and was a very good, productive player, and then transferred to Louisville that final season. I've talked to Yaya Diaby about him. He wants more Cardinals, so I'm like, yeah, go get Thor. Why not?
All right, so Noel Williams is the pick here.
Let's do it.
I like it. There's a lot of good corners still left, and I really like that Za kid. Or is it Za or Zay?
Shammer, show our picks for the people who just
I think it's Zay Frazier.
They can see what we've done thus far.
We've done some damage is what we've done.
Yeah, and we made a trade. We traded.
What's crazy, Scott, is I have a mock very similar to this with those first 3 picks, just like that, which is kind of
nice.
Wild. But
great minds.
Yeah, I mean, of course. All right, we're going with Noel Williams here. Todd Bowles template for a corner. This guy's amazing. I love this guy. He's always getting mocked to us too. All right, that's the dude. And I saw Piggy's name pop up there. He's gone. We kind of got rid of the wide receiver itch, so we don't really need to look at Kyle Williams, in my opinion. But like his D line corner again, maybe safety.
Give me a nickel now.
An edge, of course. We could always.
I can't remember.
And guard,
is small.
You think that we're actively looking to upgrade the guard position? I mean, we love Cody Mock, and I know
Bredesen. Still have Elijah Klein in the hopper.
Yeah, Bredesen's back, and we got Klein.
Yeah, so I'm, if anything, I want to swing tackle. Charlie Heck's only a 1-year deal. Yeah. Logan Brown out of KU. He's pretty good. Good player.
And we got Opeta back too, right?
Trevor taught us
What's
about
that?
This guy.
Sua Opeta's back as well, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So here we are. At 134. Mm-hmm. Let's look at Scroll on down if we can here. Get Logan Brown. Jordan Hancock. Boy, I like him as a nickel, man, and a safety. He's a good player. I don't know the Bucs have any interest in him though, but I like him. He's a good player.
What about Huzzy?
Yeah, there's yeah.
We're big
foot speed is.
big
I like
Hussey
Quincy
fans.
Riley a little bit better, to be perfectly frank with you, and that would make Yaya Diaby happy, and I want to keep Yaya happy. Quincy Riley would be a really good nickel.
This Craig Woodson name keeps popping up too as of the last week or so as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll go corner and safety from the same school, but
yeah. Let's isolate on cornerback for a second. Is Kobe Bryant there from KU still, or is he gone?
I think he left. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Him and Mello both went before we took Williams out of Cal.
Yeah. All right. So here's an interesting thing, right? And I'm I'm a bit of a Big 12 expert because of my Kansas State school. Screw the Jayhawks. But when it comes to NFL Jayhawks, well, I'm just saying, when it comes to NFL Jayhawks, I love them if they can really play. So go to the combine. It was pretty high on both Melo Dotson and Kobe Bryant. And part of the reason why we go to the combine is to listen to the interviews and get a feel for who these players are. Because that's what the teams do. They bring them in for interviews. It's not all about the tape. You have to find out about the person. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way. I'm really saying this in a like an upper echelon and a lower echelon way. So I'm not trying to, call anybody names or whatever. But when I went to Kobe Bryant's podium, and I've seen this guy as a 4-year starter at KU, was a pain in the ass for the Wildcats, even though he never beat the Wildcats in 4 years. We own KU in football. I just want to make that clear. But Kobe Bryant was such an alpha, such a dog. Like, I was just like I loved his film, and now I'm like hearing the kid, and I'm just like, God, put him in pewter and red, man. This guy is an absolute. I loved everything out of his mouth and the way he was saying it. Confidence, a little cockiness, but just not brash, but just like, you're like, so what do you want to do in the NFL? Like, what's your personal goal? I want to tackle big backs. Dude, you're barely 180, but like that's his demeanor. I mean, it's not like I want to pick off Patrick Mahomes. No, it's I want to tackle big backs. I want to tackle Saquon Barkley. Like, do you know you play corner? You're not a safety. You're not a linebacker. You're a corner. You're barely 6 foot. You're barely 180. You played at 170, but you just love the kid's toughness. The talk matches the tape, right? Then I go over to Melo Dotson, who had more interceptions. I think he had 5 last year, where Kobe had 4. And he had like 3 pick sixes in his career. So this guy's a ball hawk, just what Todd Bowles wants. So I go over to Melo Dotson. I like his tape. Of course, he's slower. He's slower than Bryant. And like Kobe is the alpha, and Melo is the beta. I mean, just like kind of like, tell us about the secondary. He was like spending more time talking about Kobe Bryant than himself, which in some ways, like, okay, like he's propping his teammate or whatever, but it's like, this is also your moment. You're on the podium. Like, tell me about you as well, right? And I just got the demeanor, like he was just a little reserved, just it was a clear 1-2. Like, and you could just see that KU locker room. You knew who the leader was. You knew who the follower was. And I want the leader. I want Kobe Bryant over Melo Dotson. And that just kind of solidified it for me right there. Not that Melo won't be a good corner, but then look at the 40-yard dash times. 4.53 for Kobe Bryant. I think that's like 4.63 for Melo. And then you're like, that's not a good time. So all that said and done, I do like going to the combine interviews and talking to those guys. When I heard Donovan Ezraku open his mouth at the Senior Bowl, I'm like, God, like, if Todd Bowles hears you, if Jason Light hears you, it's over. Like you're going to be the pick. And and then I heard the same type of interview at the combine. I'm just like, you're the guy.
So with all that being said,
I wish he was there right now. I'm fucking ready. I'm ready. Run the fucking card up.
Are we going?
Right, so here's the interesting thing here, right? So, Zay Frazier is a really interesting guy that I don't know if the Buccaneers have a ton of interest in. I think they informally interviewed him at the combine. But you talk about a like Zion McCollum freak show, like 6'3", Just under 200 pounds, 4.3 guy, 6 interceptions last year. Was like a late bloomer. Had a pick 6, I believe. He's the kind of guy you roll the dice on. So I'm going to wait a little bit on him. But Quincy Riley looks like my nickel corner.
Yeah.
Funny you mentioned Za Frazier. Your friend, the guy who stalked you on the cruise, the one who has the psycho ward with all the books. Our friend Zach, really wanted us to draft Zach Frazier last year. So I feel like if we drafted Za Frazier, maybe he would feel a little bit better about it.
Maybe you're missing a C in there, but
it's one letter off.
Close enough.
It's close. It's close.
One letter. Yeah, it's one letter.
But that Quincy Riley pick, that guy could end up being the best corner in the
he could
lot.
Yeah. He can play inside, outside, but I love him as a nickel. Let's go Quincy Riley. And now
also,
no excuses from the secondary because you've got 2 really good ball hawking cornerbacks there.
Yeah, and
Quincy Riley
it's interesting that
the most drafted guy we've ever taken, and I think all 5 of our mock drafts we've taken Quincy Riley.
Yeah,
and the interesting thing is that although we do have Antoine in that secondary room, we really don't have that loud, that loudmouth motherfucker in that cornerback.
You need
room.
that. That's right.
We don't have the Jalen Ramsey. We don't have the the Revis. The guy, even Rondé. You knew that was big dick in the room. It was Rondé Barber.
That's right.
So
not
at
that first, but Hardy set the table for Rondé. Warren set the table for Rondé. Right. Rondé was happy to be the lieutenant. Rondé was the reluctant general. He was just the last guy left, so he kind of had to be that guy, right? But I remember him telling me like he would much rather be John Lynch's lieutenant, right? When you had the whole band, right? You had Sapp and Brooks and Lynch and Barber and all that stuff. He would rather be that guy. But when push came to shove, when he was the old man in the room, he took over, and he became that guy. And he's a silent assassin. But yeah, I'm with you. Like you need that killer in that room, and I think that's missing. I mean, love Zion McCollum, great guy, smiles too much for my liking. Same with Antoine.
I mean, that's the one thing I liked about Carlton Davis was Carlton wore his ego on his chest, no problem. It was out front. I'm going to guard your best fucking wide receiver. I might get cooked, but I'm going to still do it. We don't have that guy. Like I said, we have Antoine in the overall collective secondary room, but there's not that one corner that's like, no, that's my guy. He's not catching. We don't have that guy. Zion might feel that way, but it doesn't say that enough. It doesn't come off that way.
You need to be a killer. You need to kind of adopt that mentality. It's I remember coaching kids in Pop Warner, and the first thing, especially when you had kids that whether they're 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or however old, it was the first year in football. It's like here's the question. It's really simple. Do you want to be the hammer or the nail? It's one or the other. You pick, right? It's either you hit or be hit. And the quicker you understand that as a young football player, the more enjoyable this is going to be. Because if you don't adopt the I'm going to be the hammer mentality, you will be the nail, and it will not be fun, and you're not going to be in this game for long because football is not for everybody.
Pretty good trades, by the way, Scott. We're going to end up with 7 picks in the top 161, which is really great talent. But
somehow
I really like
Jason
Logan.
White.
I really like Logan Brown
notes.
there.
Somehow we're a little light in the ass, though. There's not enough beef. If you go back, you look how light. You know what? Scott mentioned big backs earlier. I'm a big back.
There's Tonka Hemingway right there.
I love a big back. Can we get some big backs in the building?
Come on now. Don't write Rashad off yet.
No, I don't mean
one more year.
No.
I don't mean a big back.
He means big back.
I mean somebody with a big
badass.
Yeah,
a physically big back.
Yeah.
Okay, but A, who is that at this point in the draft? And B, which roster spot is he going to take? You going to kick Bucky off the team? You going to say, Rashad, take your wings and go home?
Not running back.
Not running back. A physically large back.
I want a fat person. Not physically.
Okay. You want a fat ass? Is what you're talking about.
Ass. Yeah.
Okay. When you say back, I think running back. So
he's trying to talk like the kids today, Scott.
Kids today, Scott. I'm gonna tell you something, and I just learned this. Kids today call fat people big backs.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I just found out. I'm not gonna claim like I know.
Listen, I'm not. Listen, Logan Brown's here. I'm taking Logan Brown. That's just me. I'm just giving you my spy tech, nudge here. But it's ultimately your choice because you are the GM tonight.
Listen, if the board falls this way, I do like Logan Brown here. This is a really good swing tackle candidate. I can see the logic, and then I'm going to cross my fingers that in a couple picks we're going to get Tonka. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's go. Let's add a little ground beef to the line here.
Hell yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Phenomenal draft so far, by the way.
Yep.
I approve.
I'm pretty sure
Cameron's
Tonka
there. I think Tonka
is
just
still
went.
here. No, he
No, I
didn't.
think he went.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, we just
Oh,
lost
okay.
Hussey. I was a big fan of Hussey, but you know what?
Yeah.
We already
They have
drafted two
taken needed
corners.
to. I know.
Yeah.
And there's another corner on here that I want as just a cherry on top. But that's good. We talked about. So D line here. I'm assuming you just
Yep.
want to look at.
Yep. I like Tonka. Let's take him.
And now we're.
I love
Like
that we
it. He
have-
knew exactly what
I
he
love that
wanted
we
right
got
away.
2 extra picks. And I feel like we're going to add picks in this draft, Scott.
Yep.
You?
I said all along, I think Jason Light is going to trade down in the second round, just like I did. So really, what I'm doing is I'm just giving the blueprint to Jason. So make sure that you text him this video, or I'll
We've-
do that.
we've
And-
sent him-
watches.
We've sent him the previous 5 blueprints, just so you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're basically giving him every single scenario possible. I told him, like, we're going to do your job for you. Just
right.
give us a couple weeks. All right.
Are you really going to give me Zay Frazier? It's late in the
He's
draft.
here.
Oh, God.
He's there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. There's also another safety on here that I really like, too. Just, I think he's still here.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Jordan Hancock. Holy smokes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the pick right there for me. I also like Nico Reed and Zay Frazier. I like those guys. The other thing I'll say is, see right here, like just go to defensive tackle, for example, right? Because if you're not a fan of Greg Gaines, you want Greg gone.
We're not.
There's Thor Griffin. He's probably going to go undrafted, but that guy right there is a stud, man. He's a run stuffer. He's got some wiggle in his game. He can shoot gaps. Big dude, like 6'3", 320. Click on his profile real quick.
Thor Griffin. Yeah, we've looked at him
Yeah.
a couple of times, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you see
That's a big back.
That's another big back.
6'2", 320. After 3 dominant seasons at Harvard with an 89 plus PFF grade in each season, Griffin made his way to Louisville, where he showcased similar prowess as a run defender. 84 PFF grade. He approaches the run game with power and violence. That's my kind of lineman. He plays with natural leverage, but stands a bit undersized. He's not undersized. He's 320. He's not undersized. Is he short? Yeah, but like that's what you want. You don't want to be 6'6". Ask Will Golston or Logan Hall. I think both those guys, if they had their druthers, they'd be 6'3" because they see how their size, their height works against them inside.
Well, Will Golston was drafted as a 4-3 end, and
Correct.
originally, right? Not a 3-4 inside.
Will Golston has been everywhere from 255 pounds to 315 pounds.
It's funny. He's the Golston
he
that had the long career and not his cousin, right?
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is like Will Golston, who like a Christian Bale, right? He's a guy that has gained weight or lost weight. Val Kilmer, right? RAP, I'm Huckleberry. But like those are some guys that have gained weight, lost weight for roles. I mean, Will Golston's the same way. To be able to fluctuate, when he was a 4-3 defensive end at 255, all the way up to 315. I mean, that's what, 60 pounds difference,
Oh, you're talking about big backs. Sammer's got the guy on the screen right now.
Hard pass.
And
Sorry.
Listen,
but
Scott.
he's a Tampa guy. He can roll out of bed and roll over to the facility.
Listen, people always talk about, the big shoulder pad aesthetic. This kid's got lunch lady aesthetic written all over him.
That's true. He does.
Somebody donated money for this.
Well said.
Yeah, I was going to
Super
say,
chat.
we have a super chat for that.
Okay, I didn't see it. So
Vixen's first time talking on the show.
yeah, so there's a super chat for him. I mean, if it's me, that's the guy I'm going for, and I'm asking him to gain weight. Okay, all you haters out there that think he needs to lose weight, no, I want him to play all 3 techniques
Get
right
to
up front.
$5, right?
The tush push is still legal, Scott.
You want him more than
Yeah.
464 pounds. I believe
Yeah,
that's
dude.
where
I
he's
want
at
him-
right
So
now.
close.
More.
You're so close to 500, right? Just
Yeah,
Just
like,
swing for the fences, right? And
I think he's 6'6" too. Like
when
he's
they-
tall.
when they line up for that tush push, literally have him face his tush to them and just sit. Just sit back at the snap.
right.
Good luck. Okay. Hope
Yeah.
you have an insurance policy on your quarterback's leg because something's getting broken.
Scott, Jonas asks, is Will Golston done?
Um,
He would be pretty much done.
I can't say that because Will is like one of my all-time favorite Buccaneers.
He's
Like he's
amazing,
top
dude.
10,
Yep.
just like as a person. So I can't be the one to say that. probably, but I can't say yes.
What about Shaq Barrett?
Yes, he's done.
He's done.
Yep.
All right. Anything you want me to filter here, or are we going with? Because we didn't really look at the small school offensive lineman.
There's got to be
signature.
some sleep. There's got to be
right?
some sleepers you're in love with that's still around. Undrafted guys you think that the Bucs might take.
I've already said Thor Griffin from Harvard / Louisville. He's one. I mean, I'd be interested in him.
What about Horn Jr. from Colorado?
No, I don't. Not a fan.
I like that Zay Frazier though, man.
I like him. He's that developmental guy for sure. So, or Jordan Hancock. See, Jordan Hancock could be that nickel. But see, Quincy Riley, we already drafted him. Hancock could be a backup safety or nickel. He's a really good, fast, instinctive player. Konata Mumfield, that's a name to keep an eye on. The Buccaneers have shown some interest in him. He might be an undrafted free agent or like a late round pick. But listen, man, strength of the secondary. Let's go air raid. Let's go Zay Frazier. Let's bet on the traits and really stockpile that position.
Yeah,
Scott,
listen, anything that pushes.
Sick of seeing us just let guys run free and just anybody can catch the ball. It's a free for all out there. We're not really playing defense. It's bend, but don't break, and we don't even really tackle that well. So we drafted 3 corners.
You're damn right we did.
But Stink, if you really think about it, the more of those guys you bring in, the more likely you will see Funderburg hit the streets. Okay,
that's
and
right.
I'm all about that. I don't want to see any of those guys ever play again. If I have to have guys play,
Josh Hayes, Bryce Hall,
I want these guys to play. I agree. I'll bet on this. The only thing I will question, we haven't added a safety type guy, unless you're really thinking Tyke Smith in this scenario, the way it's played out.
I mean, and that's why I like Jordan Hancock, because he can play safety and nickel. But here's the thing. So do you look at Tyke Smith can be a safety, no problem. Then you still have Izzian, and you still have Kayvon Merriweather. And believe it or not, and we'll see, just stating the truth here, the team does like, I'm not saying I do, but the team does like Rashad Wisdom and Marcus Banks. Both of those safeties had some bright moments in the preseason. They spent the entire year in the practice squad. And we've seen Jason Light and Todd Bowles, they'll rotate players in and out of the practice squad. Those guys were wire to wire practice squad guys. So they see something in them.
What can we do to make sure Ryan Neal never comes back? Which guy can we take?
I don't know. Again, I'm going. It's the 7th round. It's special teams. It's traits. I think Zay Frazier. I'm going to go with the long, lanky corner, and hope he's like the next coming of Zion McCollum. And because here's the thing, if your cornerback room in 26 and 27 and all of that is Zion McCollum and Noel Williams and Zay Frazier and Quincy Riley, right? If that's your cornerback room, like you got all those guys in, most of those guys in one draft, like that's pretty good.
That's our
What's the grade? Go down. What's the grade?
I think it's pretty good. I think we did pretty good. A-. Yeah.
That's
all right, Jason.
Same thing that
Jason,
Trevor
there you
got,
go.
Same thing that Trevor got. And Trevor's a cheater. He has all the answers to the test, and he's still only.
And he actually was holding back the rankings when we did the mock
draft. Exactly. I know. Yeah, it's his draft. Yeah. Well, I mean, some of those Trevor did learn from somebody. I mean, he was a Pewter reporter.
It's a sexy looking draft. I like it.
Yeah, these are all the names that we all like, which is kind of crazy that we just kind of keep regurgitating or recycling. But
we're putting it out there, so it's going to happen.
So, Scott, if you had to bet on one of these names to if you had to put money that one of these guys would be definitely drafted by the Bucs, which one would you put your money on? I'll let you answer too, Stank, and I'll answer what I think would.
Scroll up.
You know what? Like if I had to absolutely bet one of these guys would be, I would probably go with Noel Williams. And the reason I say that is because I knew Tyke Smith was going to be a Buccaneer. Like I told Todd Bowles before the draft, I'm like, you're drafting Tyke Smith. Mm-hmm. He is going to be a Buccaneer. He is your type of defensive back. And of course, Todd does the the Todd laugh. But and I think I even texted him. I'm like, 3rd round, like Tyke Smith here, and that was the pick. And just some guys, like when I do my draft study, and I know this team pretty well, not always right, certainly, but and like last year, we had Michael Pratt as a Bucs best bet at quarterback, right? And we also had Devin Culp as a Bucs best bet, and I changed that pick at the very last minute because they had some Illinois tight end in for a top 30 visit, and they didn't have Devin Culp in for a 30 visit, at least to my knowledge. Turns out that they did. I just didn't know it. So I moved Devin Culp out of the Bucs best bet, and the Bucs literally had Michael Pratt's name written on the card in the 7th round, and were like going to turn it in. And the Packers drafted Pratt 1 pick before. So they had to cross the name Michael Pratt out and write in Devin Culp. True story. But they end up getting both guys in the end. So Jason Light always wins.
Yeah, Noel Williams is going to be my answer to that question too. Stank?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Demetrius Knight Jr. I feel like if he's there in the second, it's a position that we really need to get some young talent. I know he's not that young, but 25 still. Yeah. You know,
right. So I don't know if you guys know this about Demetrius Knight, like really interesting story. And so again, the Buccaneers, they draft the person, not just the player. And that really matters. Demetrius Knight, right? So he's at Georgia Tech. He graduates in 3 years, right? Gets his degree in 3 years, wants more playing time. Has to go to Charlotte to get it. Goes to Charlotte, has like a couple of interceptions. One was a pick 6 in his lone season at Charlotte. He's married. He's got kids, okay, in college. Now, it's one thing for athletes to have kids in college. Usually it's with a girlfriend.
His kids are in college already? How old?
No.
No.
Oh,
okay.
No,
he's
in
married.
College.
He's married.
He has kids, but he's married.
45 years old? What?
He's not that old, 25. But so then he plays a game on Saturday, and then to feed his family, right? Because I guess the NIL deal wasn't that good at Charlotte, right? So he is a DoorDash driver. So literally after the game, you have your teammates going out celebrating a win. Maybe they didn't celebrate a win because it's Charlotte. I don't know. But, you know, you go out to the bar district and college and stuff. It's typically what you see football players do. He's getting in the car and doing DoorDash deliveries like after the game to put money on, you know, in the family's pocket and food on the table for his wife and kids.
That's pretty dope.
I love
like that's a hell of a story. Then he goes to South Carolina. I don't know if you watched South Carolina last year. Here's the names in South Carolina: Nick Amonwari, Odell Fortune, TJ Sanders, Kyle Kennard, Tonka Hemingway. Right, that's a loaded defense of South Carolina. I mean, the SEC's got some loaded defenses. Texas A&M had a defense that was loaded. Ole Miss had a defense loaded. South Carolina had a defense loaded with NFL talent. This dude walks in and lickety-split gets the C on his chest, wins the entire team over. He is the heartbeat of that defense as a one-year starter, walking in the door from Charlotte. That is a Buccaneer-type player. The character. Jason Light's not going to have to worry about this guy, you know, getting a phone call at 3:00 in the morning on Saturday. This dude is grounded. He's mature.
Levante David.
Is he 25?
It's the Levante David template.
He is, man. He is.
Mm-hmm. And he would learn from Levante on top of that. So
absolutely.
Even crazier. A name that we did not draft on here, who I think would be a guy that the Bucs more than likely would bring in as an undrafted free agent, would be that Smael Mondon kid out of Georgia because of the Todd Bowles connection.
Smael Mondon, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I said it like an Arab would say it because it's an Arab name. So,
well, the thing is, his parents wanted to call him Ishmael, and they misspelled it on the birth certificate. So it's instead of Ishmael, it's Smile.
Yep, that's the name. You nailed it. Are you Arab by chance, Scott?
I am not.
Okay.
No.
Just had to make sure. Maybe you were a light-skinned Arab.
Okay. Have you got 23andMe? Do you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever
Have you ever
English,
walked by
Irish, Scottish?
Have you ever walked by a rug salesman and just felt a tug in your heart?
Not.
I don't know why you're laughing.
No.
Wow, Scott, not a rug guy.
Not a rug guy. Okay.
Not a rug guy.
I
like smooth
rug.
surfaces.
I like a little rug sometimes.
Scott likes some smooth. Scott likes smooth surfaces.
I like a little rug.
Yeah.
I like a little rug.
Yeah.
You got tile floors, wood
I don't
floors.
like a little rug either. Yeah, I'm old school, you know, child of the 70s. Doesn't got to be smooth.
I don't like those thick, fluffy carpets.
Me either.
I like
You're not a shag carpet guy.
Yeah, I don't like it shaggy now. I like it just a little rug.
I mean, we all grew up looking at shag carpet, right? You know what I mean?
So no doubt.
I'm not gonna hate.
Scott, crushed this draft. Amazing
Thank
job.
you. Appreciate it.
Why don't you let these people here who, for whatever reason, they somehow don't know who you are or where to find you, go ahead and drop what you guys got going on, where to find you, where to listen and watch, and all of that amazing stuff. And, of course, read, guys. If any of you guys in our chat even know how to read, I know we get a lot of Stinks followers on here.
We don't have a lot of readers here.
We don't have a lot of readers, I'm assuming. But you can still listen to Scott. He talks on video sometimes.
True. I do. I'm Scott Reynolds, and I've been covering the Buccaneers for 30 years.
You really have, bro.
I have, yeah. I walked in the door with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and the Glazers in 1995. So it's been a minute. It's been fun. I've seen the rise of the Buccaneers, the fall, the rise again, and we're still rising. So that's good. That's exciting. Better than the decade of darkness. That
you still friends with old Mark Dominic?
Of course, yeah. Saw Mark at where did I see Mark? At the Combine. Yeah. Yep.
What's that guy up to these days?
That guy doesn't like me.
He doesn't like me either.
How many people like you, Sam?
About the Revis trade. Yeah. No, most people don't like Sam.
No, but this one, I mean, for sure.
He's jealous of how humble Samber is.
That's true.
Definitely what it is.
That's true. Yeah.
That's
Mark is living in Nashville. Still working for NFL Sirius Radio.
Yeah.
Doing radio shows and stuff. So
he does a terrible job on there, just an FYI.
Okay. Yeah. Tell him you said that.
Let him know.
So the funny thing is like I've told the story before. This is not like state secrets or anything, but Mark and I were actually roommates for a couple of years from 95, 96, I think 97. And the funny thing is, he went to KU and I went to K-State, so we had like this in-house rivalry, for a minute. And this is really when I couldn't do any damage. This is before websites. We didn't have buckmag.com until 1998. We were doing a once a week tabloid-sized newsprint Buccaneer magazine, like the old Pro Football Weekly, publication.
I still have several of those, by the way.
They burn them. They make really good kindling for fires. So if you need to, get your pit, your bonfire going, that's perfect use for that. Yeah,
Stank still lives without central heating and air. So yeah,
that's true.
I'm so sorry to hear that, especially in Florida in the summer. But yeah, so he was my roommate, and the funny thing is this is like back in the 90s where we shared a phone line, right? And so like Rich McKay would call, the apartment, or Tony Dungy, and like I pick up the phone. It's like, hi Scott, this is Tony Dungy. Is Mark there? I'm like, yeah, hang on, Coach. It's for you. It's just a little surreal to kind of think about it back then. We were living it, but like I was kind of harmless because Mark would tell me something like juicy that would be inside stuff. Or if I worked for a newspaper, it'd be like in the newspaper the next day, But like it was on a Tuesday. We didn't go to press until Sunday. People didn't get the damn magazine until Wednesday. So it's like I had all this inside information that
no one could hear.
That I was worthless because by the time I could put it in print, it had already gotten out. So it was just kind of funny. But I liked being in the know at the time. And it was kind of surreal when he became the general manager and I ultimately ended up covering him. And, it was, and I still, tell him to this day, it's like, it gives me great pleasure that a Kansas Jayhawk spent his first draft pick as an NFL general manager on a Kansas State Wildcat, even though Josh Freeman never lived up to expectations, but he can never live that down. That's permanent. That's history.
Two questions.
He drafted Will Golston, right?
Yeah, he did. Will Golston, Levante David.
Still here.
Doug Martin.
Still has pieces on this roster. That's
so
crazy.
Joe McCoy. Yeah, I mean, he drafted some good players. It just, it wasn't enough. And, he was the kind of, the crossover GM between Raheem and Greg Schiano. And, when you don't get the quarterback right, it's just tough. I mean, ask Jason Light, man. It's like, went from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady. And like, he's like, whew, and then to go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. I mean,
hell yeah.
That's life as a general manager. If you don't have a quarterback and you don't find one.
He had Josh Freeman. And if I remember correctly, you were a big Josh Freeman guy.
No, actually I wasn't, believe it or not.
You weren't. Okay, see, look.
I was not.
Making shit up.
Doesn't know what he's talking about. So quick question on your
Kansas State, yeah.
No, here's the thing. I liked having a Kansas State Wildcat on the team. I liked Josh. I like Josh personally. I still do to this day. I run into him from time to time. Nothing against Josh, but my whole thing was he was there at a period of kind of like darkness for the Kansas State program. Bill Snyder had just retired. Ron Prince came in for 3 years. Ironically enough, in Josh Freeman's first year, so would that be 2006? Yeah, 2006. Yeah. Looking at my Kansas State memorabilia here, 2006, Josh Freeman's first year at Kansas State, true freshman. Ron Prince flipped him from Nebraska, so it was like a big get. Do you know who the coordinators were for Kansas State under Ron Prince in 2026? I'm sorry, in 2006, his first year?
Be honest with you, Scott, I thought you guys
Morris,
didn't even have a football program. So
Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator at K-State.
Oh, shit. I didn't know.
And James Franklin, the Penn State head coach, was the offensive coordinator.
Okay, I think.
And in 1 year, Ron Prince ran both those guys off and sank our program. So my knock on Josh Freeman, to answer your question, was he was 0-3 against Missouri, 0-3 against Nebraska, and 0-3 against KU. And those are the three deadly sins right there. If you're a Kansas Stater, you better beat your rivals. He was 0-6 in those games. And so I had some real hesitation about the Buccaneers drafting him because he had to have a supporting cast around him to really be successful. He had Jordy Nelson, at Kansas State for a while, really good receiver, but it just didn't work out. I think Josh's personal issues really affected his play off the field. And I think once Raheem Morris left too, they had a connection. And Greg Schiano and Josh Freeman were like oil and water. It just didn't mix at all.
Yeah. You could have ended it right there. Yeah. Greg Schiano and everybody.
Everybody. Scott,
everybody in the building.
Yeah.
Quick question. Next time you actually is more of a request. Next time you run into Josh, tell him I want my fucking tiger back. One. Okay.
So you're a tiger? I didn't know
that.
His
tiger. Yeah. He never brought him back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, he's big now. I mean,
that was obviously. I know.
Yeah.
And if he sold him off, we have a lawsuit coming. Second, when you lived with Mark Dominic, did you guys have one of those red lip telephones in the house?
Red lip telephones.
Yeah.
You remember
the lips?
The ones with the cord, and you pick up one of the lips.
You saw them on,
no.
On
didn't have
Saved by the Bell. Yeah, Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah. No, we did have we had like the 30-yard kinky cord curled
the 30-yard
what I'm saying?
kinky
Like the cord, like that's it will stretch like from one end of the apartment to the other, right? Because we didn't have like a mobile phone back in the day, so we did have that. But the funniest thing about living with Mark was, and we were two kids right out of college. I mean, I literally graduated in '95, and I graduated May 13th from Kansas State, and I was in Tampa on May 19th. I was like down here like that because I mean it's Florida, why not, right? Mark had graduated from KU a year prior and worked for the Chiefs as an intern, and then got the job with the Buccaneers as like a personnel intern or personnel assistant, whatever, working with Jerry Angelo and the personnel side. But I was like 24, I think he was 25, and we'd like race home and play Bill Walsh's college football on Sega. Like that was just like our thing. Like we'd have like these. I was like Georgia, and Garrison Hurst was my running back, and he was USC, and I forget who he had, but we'd have like these massive 3-4 hour like gaming sessions, with college football. That was kind of our jam because we both were so entrenched in the NFL. We wanted like a break from the NFL. We did college football, but it was Bill Walsh's college football and Sega Genesis back in the day. That was our jam.
Hell yeah. Quick reminder, make sure you guys all hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new. Please, let's do that if you can. Next week, I know this is going to be against what you guys are doing. I know Peter Report's doing a 3-day draft show as well. Yep. We are as well. So if you want nonsense.
But we're doing it at different times. We're actually doing it during the draft. I saw your times. You're doing it in the morning, which is fine. But all your promos, I don't know if you know that, but it's AM. You have like, did you see that on your promos?
You just got one of the interns fired. I'm going to let you know that right now.
No, not fired.
That's the case.
Killed.
If that's
I'm just kidding. Of course not. But
yeah, somebody's getting in trouble.
No. Yeah.
Listen. Can we just like keep it real for a second? The draft is literally like 19 hours long. Feel free to pop back and forth between loose cannons.
We're going to be watching yours. I'm going to be watching yours while we're doing ours.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be on delay, so we're going to sound so smart. Yeah.
We're going to purposely delay everything. and just verbatim. Yeah, no,
exactly.
All content is on demand, and the psychos who watch our show, everything, including yours, so it's okay.
We have the same people. Yeah, I was going to remind everybody that we will be on for all 3 days if you want to watch Pewter Report or our show, whatever. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
I'm watching both.
And before we go, I was before I let you pimp out all your amazing stuff, Scott, I'm going to give the floor to our intern, Loose Cannon's Vixen, to let you guys know all about our amazing free Bucs Discord group, please.
This is going to be the last time I get to talk because then I'm fired. No,
nice kidding. Knowing you, Vixen. Nice.
All right, so we have a couple of things happening right now. We just started a website where you can go and have access to all the content for the Loose Cannons podcast in one place, which is really nice. You can find the merch store there. You can check out the Discord information, which is also new, by the way. And there, it is free to join. You can chat with other Bucs fans. You can get access to football memes. You have your mock draft channel, which is awesome. There's been a lot of debate in there recently, actually, with the draft coming up next week. And then you can also join the Cannon Cartel. That is separate from the free part of Discord. That unlocks private channels where you can get behind the scenes content with your favorite hosts, Sammer, Stank, and everybody. You get discounts on merch. You also get to be part of VIP giveaways and auctions and part of the Final Fantasy. Oh my gosh, my nerd brain. Fantasy football leagues.
Unbelievable. We have really bad interns at
yeah.
He's
I was a little nervous. I was
doing just fine.
a little nervous.
No, we're just going to keep running through them until we find someone who's just
have that effect on people, I guess.
You're going to excuse me, sir.
Scott, what's your go-to draft food?
Mine?
Gosh, go-to draft food.
Yeah.
No, Scott. You can answer afterwards, Vixen.
Like I'm kind of like an I have like nervous energy, so like I like to kind of just snack, right? So like either pretzels, peanut M&Ms, regular M&Ms.
You just became my best friend.
How about candy corn? How about candy corn? All right.
No.
I'm throwing down a 5-pound bag of candy corn during the draft coverage. Absolutely. I mean,
that is awful.
Hey,
listen,
Sammer likes to eat. Why don't you just eat a candy
corn?
Yeah, it's so disgusting.
You guys don't even know.
It is not disgusting.
It's amazing.
Just give me a shot of diabetes, please. Like right in the
no
vein.
problem. I mean, listen, I'm not eating the whole 5-pound bag. It takes me a year to get through the bag. But I'm just saying, if I'm in that draft for those 3 days, you best believe I'm throwing back a couple of candy corns. Okay.
Not even Halloween, man. What are you doing?
That's why you stock up during Halloween.
Isn't that against the law?
The pumpkin ones are the best.
What are you
Scott,
doing?
Scott, this is what you do.
Man.
November 1st, you go into a grocery store or you go into one of those stupid, costume shops and you buy the giant 5 or 10 pound bag for like $3. Okay. Now you got candy corn for a whole year. Oh. It's a great.
It's a wonder
2 pieces.
Do you dip that in ranch or blue cheese? That's what I want to know.
No, I stick them in the chicken wing. Actually, just right in the wing, and then I heat them up, and they just candy into the meat. It's amazing.
We have a tradition here and Sammer started it, and I gotta say, one of the best traditions ever. Although he's never had it happen, our wives usually bring trays of chicken wings to us as the draft is going, just right here live on the show. So that's that's what I go.
We're a little beholden to whatever food they service at One Buccaneer Place. So whatever they get the media, that's
you're in the building.
Well, Scott, again, awesome having you on here.
Appreciate it.
You guys,
our final mock draft drops is not going to be as good as the one I just did tonight, to be honest. But Josh Capo and I are working on it. It might be. We'll see. But we don't do trades in our mock typically, so we're going to have 6 picks. But our final mock draft drops next Monday at 5:00 on pewterreport.com. Then we're having our live draft show, mock draft show at 8:30. Josh and I will talk about it, take your questions, hear your nasty comments, and answer your questions, all that stuff at 8:30 on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. So we got that. If you wanted to go back in time and watch a Michael Pratt interview or Yaya Diaby interview, we had a couple of Buccaneer players on the last couple weeks. You can find those archived podcasts on Pewter Report TV. And we go live at 4:00 Monday through Thursday in the off season at 4:00 on Pewter Report TV. So check that out. Follow us on X and Facebook and Instagram at Pewter Report. And again, pewterreport.com, the mothership. We have Bucs best bets and our draft previews every day from now until Wednesday, April 23rd, which is the darkest day of my life because I turn a year older every year on that day. And then the draft's the next day. So it gets all better after that.
Hey, you still look younger than Stank, who's somehow 50 years old. So
I'm not 50. I'm 49. Thank you very much.
You're in your 50th year. So you're technically 50 years
well,
old.
if we go by Bucs math, all of a sudden they're celebrating their 50th year, which I'm pissed about, Scott. And you can let Brian Ford
why?
Because I always thought I'm going to get some cool 1976 50th year patches to commemorate the year I was born. And all of a sudden they want to celebrate it a year early. I don't get it. I don't understand.
It's their 50th year. It's not celebrating.
It's not the 50th season though.
You're in your 50th season too, Stink.
No, I'm into my 40, whatever.
No, you've turned 40. You've had 49 years done. Now you're in your 50. You're working on your 50th. You're currently chopping that wood.
I'm not good at math, dude.
I can't wait to get you that $2. I can't wait to get you that $2 coffee from McDonald's when you turn 50, dude. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have one delivered to your house every day.
Yeah,
just for no reason.
I will say this, and at first I was really offended. This is like a cheat code. I'm just letting you know right now. I was deeply offended when somehow AARP found out I was 50, like literally like 4 days after my birthday. Like I get something in the mail from AARP, which is was it Association of Retired People or whatever it is, right? And they want you to join. It's like $30 a year or whatever. And I'm thinking, hell no, I'm not joining this. I'm rebelling right against my 50 club. And I had a friend of mine say, no, you definitely want to do that because a lot of restaurants will give you 10% off. Literally, like the first 2-3 times you use it, it pays for the membership. And now that's like a cheat code that I have. And my wife's always like, whip out your old man card so we get the 10% off or whatever. And it's
I'm doing it.
I save hundreds of dollars a year just by dropping 30 on my AARP discount.
Thank you. Never taken out your card, and we always get that 10%
privileges.
We always get that discount, but you never take your card out, Stank.
I can't wait. I'm gonna put my AARP sticker right next to my AAA sticker on the back.
Yeah.
Back
well, if you take off your hat, they'll believe you, though, right? Isn't that true?
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's how it is.
All right. You don't need a card. Just take the hat off. Show the gray beard.
You have beautiful.
Hey,
Luke Easterling, better hair than you, Scott. Sorry.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Yes. Yeah. I can't deny that.
Also, he's the first guy to come on the show and teach us all about Quincy Riley. Okay, we were ignoring that guy.
That's true.
Well, you didn't have me on back then, so I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He was a hell of a player, really good player.
I'm just saying. And just a reminder before we end the show: next Monday is the official Loose Cannon's final predictive mock draft show. Stank and I are going to gather all the knowledge that we've learned from all these general manager guests that we've had on. Okay, and we're going to put together the exact blueprint, the exact prediction of what's going to go down over those 3 days. And then, of course, the draft coverage begins Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
1 hour before every one of those picks starts, we're going to open up the lines for you guys to come on here, talk shit to us, or talk about the picks, or tell us how much you hate or love Jason
Can I call in too?
Yeah, call in, Scott. Yeah,
I'll call in.
Talk shit. Yeah, all of it. We will
please do.
We will have Ples of Real Bucs Talk at some point on the third day. I believe he'll be calling in as well on the first night before the show starts. So it will be fun. And yes, I believe there will be a return of one Poppy Latte on the first 2 nights of the draft. So you guys, we'll finally have the correct balance of 2-1 brown and white. That'll finally be back to normal. I'm very excited about that. I can say it. I'm brown. I can say it. If you or Stank said it, then it would be a problem. Okay. But anyway, so like I said, just a quick reminder, make sure you let Josh Freeman know that he owns me a fucking tiger. And
I'll text Josh right now and have him return your tiger. How about that?
Yeah. I should get a tiger, a couple of Cubs interest, honestly, but we can, he and I can hammer it out. I'm sure.
All right.
Sure we can figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for watching, of course. And we will see you guys maybe later this week. We don't know. Stink has a hair up his ass he wants to do on the show this week. We'll find out.
No, I'm going to be in Turkey getting hair plugs because now, evidently it's not cool to be bald anymore.
Those lead to blood clots and usually people dying. So,
great. No, I can't even do that.
Unless you don't want to see your 51st patch, then go ahead and do that. Scott, thank you so much. Go Bucs.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
It's kickoff, set it off, go to Vegas, bet it all. Put it on the Bucs win, whoever they gon' play gon' fall. Don't say I ain't told y'all, loose cannons gon' fold y'all. Yeah, the Heat be 9-3, but it gets real cold in the fall. That's when the season start, Bucs come in 40 hard. Win after win, ripping the division apart. Panthers, they pussycats, Falcons got bird flu. Take the Ravens and Dolphins and open up a zoo. Cause one thing's for sure, better than the Bucs, they show lane. And every day in Tampa Bay, we say fuck the Saints. We in Tampa Bay, baby. 813 going crazy. Tampa, boy. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons blasting on them haters. And we in Tampa Bay, baby. Tell them where you from. 813 going crazy. Yeah. This Bucs podcast be the greatest. Loose cannons blasting on them haters. Now when I say the loose cannons, what? Do you know what I mean? I'm talking Bobby Latte, Stank Bastard, and Samurai Lee. You ain't never seen no her before. No podcast like this.